Hey friends, my name is Dale and I am a flight instructor. Now, at the initial offset of making this channel, my goal was to speak to those that are wanting to learn to fly and are in the middle of learning to fly, and instructors. However, this is one that is for an audience that my heart does go out to, which is the people who are afraid of flying. And so this episode is speaking a little bit more towards, or from the perspective of an airline pilot. And so if that's something you want to hear more of or less of, let me know, or both. I can speak for the perspective of the jets or people in the Cessnas. But I thought I would make an episode about reaching out to the people who are afraid of flying. So I was a nervous flyer when before I got into the industry. I was always nervous, looking out the window, trying to find something wrong with the wing, trying to find something wrong with snow on the wing. If you fly in Russia, you might experience that. So I wanted to address some of these things. The main topics that I was going to cover today, are turbulence, redundancy, gliders, ATC, training, and control. So first off, I drew on my whiteboard some descriptions for turbulence. So there are a couple different reasons for turbulence. One, you might have mountains and the wind comes up and over, and our little plane will try to fly level, but then it'll get some downdrafts and some updrafts, and it's just trying its very best to stay level, which it's going to bounce into air. The good news is airplane wings are designed to bounce into air. That is what they do. It's bouncing on the ground that's bad, but they have been designed to get shoved all around in air all day long. That's what they're there for. Air does have volume, but it's not so violent that it can typically break wings. And there are speeds that pilots have to watch out for that are too fast for their wings in turbulence. So if it is a turbulent day, the plane can slow down. Not a huge problem. Also, this is my excellent picture of jet streams. So if a plane were to travel that way, they're going to get some left and right shear. And also, let's say this is the center of the jet stream, that's fast, and this is slow. So as it comes in and out of there, it's going to get quite a bit of wind shear. And if it flies anywhere near it, there's going to be quite a bit of turbulence around the outside of that. Think about a jet in a hot tub. If you're right on the jet, it could feel good. If you're away from it, it could feel normal, but the sides of the jet, it can get rather bumpy. Also clouds, they look like puffy little clouds, look like a little explosion because they are. It is the release of energy as moisture becomes visible and explodes up in the air. So if a plane is flying through one of these, they could get caught in the energy that's releasing and go up, 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 up. Also, this cool sun right here is showing over cold water, parking lot, and some grass. And as our little plane flies over, typically on short approach to landing, if it's coming in from the water and landing, it can hit the threshold of the runway, which is really hot, and balloon it up, and then come in and land. So the hot air will rise and expand as it rises. So that is a big thing about why turbulence happens. And largely, you don't need to worry about it if you're in the air. Just bounce into more air. Now, the other thing is redundancy. So this plane has quite a few redundant things. It has 2 fuel tanks, 1 in each wing, 2 magnetos that power the spark plugs. Lots of things, so if one thing fails, you've got a backup. Because in your car, you may not need a backup, you can just pull off to the side of the road, but airplanes don't have that luxury. So an airliner will have 2 engines, they'll have 2 or 3 hydraulic systems, they'll have 2 autopilots, they'll have 3 systems that can sense the speed, air pressure, altitude, so on and so forth. There are so many redundancies built in, so even if if your engines both fall out into the water, or if all of your electricity shuts down, you can still make things happen. A lot of planes will even have a ram air turbine, which is a little windmill that falls out of the bottom and starts spinning in the wind to generate electricity. So there are so many redundancies. I have been in planes with several failures, and it's not an emergency because it has backup systems. So I hope that helps alleviate some things. Also, should you lose both engines, should they fall off into the sea, should this engine shut down, you're now in a glider. And the math on that is you usually have anywhere, if you're flying pretty low, you could have 7 minutes, or if you're up in an airliner, you'd have 30 minutes to get all the way down to the ground and land. And so you aren't ever in a panic. One thing I teach my students is if they're scared about simulated engine failures, we can take the keys out of the ignition, we can put it on the dashboard, send a text to your mother, take a selfie, and find a place to land and get all set up, put the key back in the ignition, get the engine running again, and send another text. You have so much time, so you can relax and enjoy it. Also, side note into training, my first regional job, the training was you have 1 sip of coffee emergencies and 2 sips of coffee emergencies. So there's no emergency where you have to just start pushing buttons. You can relax and then address it, or you can double relax and address it. So a fire is just a 1 sip of coffee emergency. Hydraulic failure, that's 2. Also, ATC is out there to help you out. They have radar. They can see when planes are approaching each other. They can see if a plane's having a problem. They can send search and rescue. They are in communication with airliners almost all the time, and they take their job seriously. So ATC keeps you away from each other, and also they have planes will have a map of where other airplanes are, so they can watch where they are. It's like a radar, but it's communicating with ATC's radar, and so they can stay away from other planes or look out for other planes based off of where they should be. Now, back to training. About 1/3 of every rating is training for emergencies. When you get to airlines, it's about 100% of the training. So the first time I ever put my hands on a jet, I had no idea how to fly it with both engines running, because all I had ever done were single engine emergency trainings in the simulator. So pilots spend hours and hours of training when they start out, and then every year in a simulator, we're doing nothing but emergencies. They don't train us how to have a good time, they train us how to save the day, which is another thing that has been argued about. Pilots aren't paid for the normal day, they're paid for their worst day. So also, a number of passengers express that they don't love that they're not in control. And yes, this is an excellent time to get in control. Go get your pilot license. Go learn how to fly. Take a lesson from someone and let them show you what all is involved with the safety of an airplane. It's boringly safe. And regarding not being in control, every other form of transportation you might feel calm in, whether it's a cruise ship, subway, bus, riding in a van, a shuttle, and those have much higher accident occurrences than planes. So rest assured, the plane is the safest form of transportation. Now, yes, there have been accidents, there have been tragedies, and that is not to undermine them or devalue them. Everyone is very familiar with them because They get a lot of press because they are tragic. Yes, they absolutely are, and they're a horrible thing. But consider how many aviation accidents there have been versus in your state last night, how many traffic accidents were there? In your city, in your neighborhood, how many accidents are there in a week? So there are not nearly that many with the plane. So you're very safe with the plane. But if you have any other questions, if you have any other concerns about what made you feel safer on a plane, other concerns that you're still uncomfortable with or feel unsafe about, or if you would rather me stick to flight instructing videos or would like to hear more from the airline perspective, please let me know. I'm here to help you out. Thank you.